Yeah, it's based on the zombies.
It's
Time of the season.
the time of the podcast for Death Note.
Oh boy.
That's good.
Coming
So-
to you from Nate's basement.
So Netflix adapted Death Note, and we're a little late to the party, but we're here, and we brought pita chips.
We like to party.
I like pita chips. And Death Note.
Yeah.
Death Note was
So
cool.
a quick recap of where we stand on this, I guess. Myself, that's Alec and Nate.
But
We've
we're
both
sitting.
seen the manga. We've both watched the anime. We're probably the biggest fans of the originals, and everyone else here hasn't seen it before, right?
Yeah.
No,
One of
yeah.
us hasn't even seen the new movie.
That's true. But I'm just curious on what you guys thought about it before we weigh in on kind of what we thought.
I was thoroughly entertained. I really enjoyed it, actually. Like, it seemed cool. I was interested throughout. I didn't know what was going to happen
Yeah.
next.
Now you should just go watch the anime.
I didn't like it that much.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you found this entertaining, though.
I was entertained. It kept my interest. I didn't think it was like the best written or anything kind of thing, but it's like, oh, I keep wanting to know what happened next.
And Willem
So-
Dafoe. Oh my god.
Willem Dafoe's
He's
cool.
perfect.
Good voice.
What a great role for him.
Yeah, I thought it was good, but there was some enormous flaws in terms of just overall. The film was rushed.
Was it?
Yeah,
sure.
I think it was.
I liked it. I felt like it was fast paced.
Just yeah, just briefly, I thought it was decently cast. I didn't like Nat Wolff really as Light.
I didn't realize that's what Nat Wolff looked like now.
Yeah.
Like, the last I had ever heard his name was probably, like, what, decade ago with...
The Naked
whatever
Brothers
Naked-
band?
Well,
yeah.
Naked Brothers band.
Yeah.
He's
I know
been
he's been in
in-
other stuff, but
Well, he
that was
was
after I looked up his IMDb
he was in those
page.
John Green movies. He was in Fault in Our Stars, and I think
Oh,
he was
was
the
he?
I
Oh,
think
he
he was
was
the
the
lead.
Kid.
Yeah,
I
he
never
was the
saw
blanket.
it, so-
I'm pretty sure he was the lead in Paper Towns, wasn't he?
Yes, he was
Yes.
actually. That was
So I've-
that was actually a good movie.
I've seen him. I enjoyed both those movies, but he's just not a good like
He
dramatic
doesn't play
actor.
he doesn't play the like
Right. When he has
angsty like anti-hero.
Yeah, it
grungy teen.
it almost reminded me of Spider-Man 3 when Tobey Maguire is trying to be emo.
Oh yeah,
But, like
during
he's failing
the,
miserably.
You can tell.
Yeah.
And he's just that
It reminded
was
me a lot
that
of that.
awful sequence.
But I enjoyed. I thought other than that, it was well cast. I liked the guy from I don't know his name. He was in Get Out. Whoever played L.
yeah.
He was in Get Out, and
Oh, was he?
I liked him. Yes.
He was good.
And I like the cinematography, the casting. I think the biggest it was just a poor script.
Yeah. To get into it, I'm a lot with Nate here. I really like the adaptation that they were going for, and I agree with you, Rich. I think it was way, way, way too rushed. I think they could have had a really good series, but when they rushed through a good part of it to try to make it dramatic, and I've got some other issues with it too, but that was the big thing. I thought if they had maybe spread it out into a series, I thought it could have made a really good series instead of just a movie.
I don't think it needed to be a television series. Oh, well, actually, maybe it could have been as a 6 or 8 episode, 6 or 8 episode
Oh, yeah.
event series.
Like a mini series.
Yeah, I'm
like a
talking
limited
like-
series, or 2.5 hour, like 2-hour movies.
This fall on CBS, their newest comedy, Death Note.
Oh boy,
Oh boy.
not another CBS.
I mean,
show.
I don't know if I would have watched it if it was two-hour movies.
I mean, there is already a sequel in the works if enough people watch it.
I don't know if I want that either.
Well, you wouldn't have watched it at all if we didn't tell you to watch it. So.
That is true.
I was gonna watch it.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Just because you saw it on? Were you
I saw it
familiar
on
with?
there. I'm not familiar with. I like Willem Dafoe. I
Yeah,
think
you
he's
just
a
saw
fun
it
guy.
on the front page of Netflix, and you're like,
Right.
That is one of
yeah.
the praises about the movie is Willem
Yeah.
Dafoe.
I had a string of days off, so I knew I needed to fill it in with some movies.
yeah. Speaking, I liked Willem Dafoe's voice. I didn't like. I know you were saying it's not all CGI.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
he
some
was
motion, capture.
I mean,
It was
that's still
motion capture.
that's still CGI though, right? They're just
Oh
CGI
yeah, but
to
it's just
capture.
not fully like they're animating. Like they put his movements
Right.
and then they animated. him.
However, they created Ryuk. I didn't think it looked very good.
Or if you're like light in the first part, Ryuk,
Yeah.
Ryuk?
Ryuk, yeah.
I thought the scene where Ryuk is revealed and there's all like he's in the classroom and everything's blowing around and he's like cowering under a desk. Like I literally laughed out loud.
Oh, I did too.
It was
I thought that was
it was
terrible.
ridiculous.
And then it's like he's in detention. The teacher, supervisor, whatever, gets up and leaves. Ryuk comes in and gets revealed, and the classroom is just destroyed.
Who cleans up that fucking
Exactly.
mess?
I was
They
waiting
never
for
talk
somebody,
about that. Like,
I was waiting for the study hall teacher
To come back into
the
to
room.
come back and just like tear him a new one for destroying the classroom.
Yeah.
and it wasn't like a regular classroom was destroyed.
It was like
there
a-
was like
like a
nice
sciencey
science
room,
stuff in
yeah.
there.
So let me talk about one of my biggest gripes with the movie after having watched the animated adaptation and read the original manga comic that was going on. The biggest thing that I had against this movie, and again, I'm not going to criticize it because it is an adaptation, but one of the big things in the manga is Light is like a super popular person. He plays multiple sports. He gets straight grades. He's a thoroughly polite, great person to be around. And he stays that way throughout the manga, at least in his cover image. He's just like poster child for being like
he's
good.
he's essentially the most popular kid in school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and before I watched the Netflix movie, you kind of preface it for me saying, "Oh, this is what Light is like in the
And in this, he's
manga."
that antisocial
And then I
kid.
watch the movie and I'm like, "Wait, this is nothing
Yeah.
what I was expecting." He just gets one punch knocked out right at the beginning
Yeah.
of the movie. What is this?
And that's kind of upsetting because, I mean, it's already kind of like, it kind of picks on the outsiders a bit now. Oh, this guy's a outsider and he's misunderstood, so now he's got a magic notebook that can kill
Yeah,
people.
I feel like sorry.
And I really think that they lost a bit of what they really could have done. Like, it's not just all of these outsiders. Like, Light could have been a perfectly, they could have even kept the subplot in with his mom getting killed, which doesn't originally happen in the comic. And I would have been fine with it. It's just like making him an antisocial outcast who's smart but disturbed, just as like, okay, he's your normal
Yeah,
serial
that's been
killer.
done before.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It
been
was-
done a lot before. That kind
It
of
was
thing.
yeah, he was basically just a stereotype, and I think it's more of part of the American trying to appeal to an American audience. I
Well,
feel
that's what the director was going for.
Yeah.
He was, and the original people said that it was fine that they did that. It was to make it for a wider audience, and it was completely westernized.
Yeah.
But
I
that
mean,
was the point.
They were just going out of their way to justify him as a character, right? Because it was
Yeah.
like, oh, well, he was bullied, and then his mom died, so like feel bad for him.
I mean,
no,
it was a
it's like
cliche
Light's just a
character,
sociopath, where he didn't even seem like a sociopath, and then he wanted out at one point.
Yeah.
When he was talking to Elle in like the coffee shop, and he's like, "Well, I don't even want it anymore."
Yeah.
It's like no, it basically was like Mia was a sociopath,
Yeah.
and she
I mean,
was
they
controlling.
both
She was
they both
controlling
were
him like
functioning
a puppet.
Yeah,
psychopaths.
she was.
I don't think-
she was a cheerleader too.
Yeah.
It's
He
like,
didn't
you want
seem-
your popular kid getting their hands on the notebook.
Yeah.
She smoked. That's gross.
He didn't.
Honestly, both these people probably would have become serial killers.
he didn't seem to me like he would have. I think it was more like her, and she would. I mean, I would have liked her character. They didn't establish her enough as in the
Yeah,
first.
like all of a sudden she's the popular girl, and then all of a sudden she
Right.
becomes like this sociopath.
Wow, what do you know? I also hate the same things that you hate.
Yeah.
And I also don't have the emotional spectrum of a peanut. Let's go
Well-
kill people together and then make out awkwardly
What
while
was-
we're doing it.
Ridiculous was
I'd
that
sign up for that.
they're sitting on the bleachers, and she comes up to him, and he has the death note, and she's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, I can't tell you." And then she's like, "No, tell me." And he's like, "Okay, it's a death
Come
note."
with me.
It was literally like 15 minutes into the thing. He already shares it with somebody, and in the anime, it was a long secret really built up.
Yeah. In fact, when she, at least the character that she's based on, first pops up in the anime, Light is just pissed off because he just wants her gone because like she's actually making it a lot harder for him to keep his cover because Elle's onto him at this point. Speaking of which, let's talk about Elle. Great character. They did a super job with casting him, with doing some of the detective stills, except for one part, and this one part really annoyed me. During the scene where they write Watari's name into the notebook and make Watari do all that stuff, that bugged the heck out of me because Elle is supposed to be smarter than this. Earlier on in the film, we established that Elle is smarter than this because he's taken precautions to hide his face and hide his name. And then Light's just like, oh look, I can look up his sidekick on the internet and make him to tell him all the things. In the original adaptation, it's covered because Watari isn't his real name. So that never comes up until later in the series when both Elle and Watari kind of get killed in the middle of it. So
Well, thanks for spoiling it for
Elle
us.
dies.
in the original, yeah.
Oh, well, Jesus. We never even said spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, Death Note's
Spoiler
been out
alert.
since. I recommend you still watch it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, but it's just like that kind of really bugged me that, like L establishes that that's a huge problem. Like, oh, well, we know if you can't see his face, or if he doesn't know your name, if he doesn't have these two things, he can't do it. And then immediately leaves his right-hand man open to it. That really bothered me.
That deduction was ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Like, how could he
What?
possibly have figured out that he would need a face and name?
Yeah. It's pointed
The
out...
whole character's ridiculous then.
Well, the whole point of the way L does it in the original is actually a little more. It's around the same lines of how he does it in the movie, but one major difference. He puts a totally expendable criminal and gives that criminal a name like on TV. So Light actually kills the criminal on TV. And that's how L is managed to deduce. And he pulls this whole trap where he's able to deduce where Light's from, how he needs to see. And then L throws himself up on the screen, but it's only like the letter L. So then he isn't able to do anything. It just seemed like they did a really good job with L, and I thought they wasted a good chunk of it by making him, making a couple mistakes. L does not make a lot of mistakes at all in the manga. He makes, in fact, L doesn't make any mistakes. The only reason that, spoiler alert, he dies is because he doesn't actually know what the heck the Shinigami can actually do. So that's like the whole
What's a
reason.
Shinigami?
It's something beyond his comprehension. We can talk about
That's
that later,
Ryuk.
but
There's
Yeah.
several people like Ryuk with. Yeah.
Oh.
that-
So
It's a
kinda-
Japanese death god.
The death
yeah.
gods.
In the
Yeah.
original, when
I didn't know it was plural.
In the
Yeah.
original, when Mia also has a death note, and she's also got a death god called Ren, who follows her around. So there are a couple of them, but they don't really go into that too much. They just go with Ryuk, and obviously because he's one of the most recognizable characters of all time.
And part, I think, of what made the original so engaging was that it was kind of this cat and mouse, very Sherlock Holmes Moriarty dynamic between Light and L. And I feel like this missed out on that. Like, they didn't seem like equals to me in this movie.
Yeah.
It felt like L had Light way outmatched. Light kind of seemed like this stupid, edgy, emotional kid.
No.
I think there were some lines in it, when he's in his dad's, "You don't understand me."
Yeah.
Was Kira just a movie thing, or is it
No.
also
Nope, that's
the-
how
That
he's
was- yeah.
known.
Okay.
I actually
So that's how
really
he's
like
known
what
in
they
the
did
anime.
with the twist because, again, that was a really nice shout out to how it is in Japan because they do say that, originally in just the comic he's just known as Kira, as Killer in Japan. And then in the movie they go well, he's not just this. We'll pretend he's Japanese, but it's actually Russian. I thought that was a really cool way to, modernize it and Americanize it, but still give a shout out to the original stuff. I thought that was a really good job done by them. So,
Soundtrack was disappointing. The
Well-
anime had one of the best soundtracks out of any show I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Animated or otherwise.
Did they adapt the score from the...
they did not. I was really sad because they
I think
could
they created
have.
their own.
Maybe it's expensive.
No Smash Mouth in the movie. I
Maybe.
was highly disappointed.
I mean, I'd be fine if they didn't adapt the score, but it's just
Uh,
they didn't make any memorable new songs.
Yeah,
either, so-
it wasn't super memorable. I also understand why they did this, and they did a really good job with the FBI agents. That was a cool shout out to the original, in where they get one FBI agent to kill all the other ones, which also happens in a slightly different fashion in the.
That was a really cool
Yeah.
plot point in the movie.
Yeah, and that's a really cool adaptation of how it happens in the manga. It's a little different, obviously, because I will say the movie was a lot more theatrical with how people die. In the original manga and anime, just pretty much says, I don't really care how they die. Heart attack, heart attack, heart attack, heart attack, heart attack.
Right, yeah, I was actually pretty surprised. I didn't realize that it was TV mature or whatever the rating was, but that first death with the ladder was a lot more
dude,
Yeah, I
gory.
was not expecting
I was-
that.
Yeah, neither was
expecting
I.
that.
That was gruesome.
But I thought...
I
mean,
also wasn't expecting them to actually show the FBI agent splatter.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't not enjoy it. I thought it was...
Well, I think it's a cool way to be again, because even if they had animated it, there's so much difference between how much you can do animated and how much you can do real life. So showing the gruesome details, I thought was kind of cool with that point. And then that dude gets run over with the truck
Yeah, it definitely made it feel a lot more real.
while saluting.
It made the deaths feel more real, for sure.
So all in all, I really thought it had just so much potential, and I was disappointed to see that a good chunk of it went to waste.
Yeah.
Especially because there was so much controversy over the whole whitewashing thing, and this is an adaptation with, they're whitewashing the whole thing. And I was really disappointed because I thought they had the cornerstones there to build something, and I thought the plot kind of undersold it. I honestly think they had the pieces in place to write something pretty decent, and I think they appealed more to the emotion than to the logic, and I think that came back to bite them a little bit in my
And
opinion.
Netflix has said they planned on making this 2 films if enough people watched it.
I'm just interested.
I don't like that. It's either like, wow, we did a good job, let's make a second movie, or like, oh, we're just gonna make one movie. I don't really like the whole like, oh, if it's good, if people like it, we'll roll with
And
it.
here's the
Either
thing.
it was his, or I'm pretty sure it was either the director that said that. That's what Netflix told him.
And here's the thing. I
Doesn't
like the
sound like
ending,
art to
but
me.
it was like way too like ambiguous, but like not enough. Like Light's dad knows that he's the killer. What is he gonna do?
He should kill his dad.
Yeah, I mean, and like
Yeah,
Light.
I wanted a little more resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like criminally short. I
Yeah,
thought it was. I
It was
mean,
an hour and 40 minutes.
well, credits though.
Oh yeah,
It was like an hour 33 when
yeah, it was
they
like
actually
10-minute
ended.
credits.
That's like
Bloopers
15
and
minutes
But
shorter.
the bloopers were only like 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it lengthened the credits every
It's-
time. They
it's
did
like
one.
Yeah, but only by 30 seconds.
It was 15 minutes shorter than Disney's Moana.
Yeah.
Really?
As a point of
I
comparison.
fell asleep through Moana, so
Well,
I don't know.
I enjoyed it a lot. The point is,
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
you know, I don't know any dramas really that are like successfully an hour and a half.
But that was the thing. I thought once Light finally pulls off a master plan and does something like super intelligent, which I dig, and then immediately it's like his dad's like, "I know you're the killer." It's like, what do you think you are? Do you think you're the greater evil or the lesser evil? Ryuk has a good last line, but it's like, okay, what happens now? L has possession of a note if he so wishes to use it, and could end the whole charade right there if he wanted to. And instead, he's just laughing hysterically because he's lost his mind or something. And it was just like too open ended. I wanted to see something. I just needed to see like either Light like get out of the hospital and like choose what he was gonna do next. Or just something, because it was like too open ended. I don't know where they're gonna go from here. Are they gonna have like Light versus L2 Electric Boogaloo? Are they gonna like have L off himself in sadness, and they're gonna turn the whole thing over to Mellow and Nier, which is the second part of the comics? Like, I don't know what they want to do with it. Personally, I would love to see Nier, but also because I love Nier's theme music most of all, and they need to bring that back, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. But, yeah, overall, I think especially if you didn't see it before, I think you could definitely find some good value in it. I think for some of the season fans, I think they could be a little bit disappointed. But all in all, I don't think it was like, some people were overacting like, oh, this is so awful. I don't think it was like that bad. I wouldn't call it a good adaptation, but I wouldn't
No.
say like, this is the worst adaptation of all time.
I mean, on a scale of like, I would say bottom of the barrel would be M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
What about The Village?
I'm talking about cartoon adaptions.
Oh, okay. I thought
You don't like The Village? No. Okay.
Anyway, it definitely was The Last Airbender. But honestly, if I hadn't loved the anime so much and I saw this, I think I would have
That could
zero
be another
interest
topic.
in watching the
M. Night
anime.
Shyamalan
I'd probably
Like,
give
it didn't do it justice.
I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 10.
No, we don't do decimals here.
Oh, okay.
We can do decimals.
I would give it.
No
I would-
decimals.
Point that dilutes it. Then
Okay,
you could
I
do.
would give
All
it.
right,
I would
fine.
give it 4.5 apples out of.
No, whole numbers then. Whole numbers. So 4
Is
or
it a
5.
4 or a 5? You
I
know?
will give it a 5 then,
Okay.
because I think that they laid the premise down, and anyone who wasn't a fan of the original stuff would have found some more value in it than I did coming as a fan of the series for a long time.
Are we talking 5 out of 5 or 5 out of
5 out of 10.
5
5
out
out
of
of
5 out
10.
of 10, okay.
Holy cow. I was way too entertained for 5 out of 10.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
Najim, what do you give it?
I mean, I'd give it a 7.
Okay. So that's a good.
It,
on
it
that
stood
scale.
alone.
That's
It was
an okay.
fine. I didn't really mind it. It was entertaining, and I watched it all the way through without having to like work at it.
Matt, what do you give it?
I'll say 6 out of 10. I was entertained.
Okay.
It was better than I expected. It's nothing that blew me away, so I think 6 is a fair
Yeah.
assessment of that.
I would say a 6 out of 10 as well. 6 as in like still failing, but definitely like watchable. I'm never gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
But
I
there
wouldn't
was
watch it again.
there was points. I would say 60% of the time, I was engaged.
And I concur. I also give it a 6 out of 10 because I believe it laid the foundation, but had a bunch of flaws with it.
Well, you know what, Rich? I'm relatively impressed because we were talking before the podcast, before you were only about halfway through the movie, and you had solidified it as a 4 in your opinion.
Well,
so I'm impressed that went up.
It went up a little bit because,
Because of peer pressure.
No,
I'm
because
kidding.
it found its way a little bit.
But I do have to say that's kind of what I thought. Nate and
The
I
ending was
scored a
terrible.
little lower because we're a little more we're fans, and you guys scored a little higher. Though we had like 3 sixes. So what I guess that's the average 6
Yeah.
because I gave a 5, Najim you gave a 7. We've got 3 sixes, so average is a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait.
honestly.
Can we just real quick talk about the Ferris wheel scene when she falls in slow motion? Was that not the stupidest thing you've ever seen?
Absolutely.
I thought
You
the
just
whole
grabbed-
I
ending
didn't even
was.
think about it.
I thought the whole ending was not good.
There was like that. I don't know what song it was.
The
that
last
came
like
on, but-
10 minutes was completely rushed.
I do think it was funny though because I will say this: in the original anime, nothing gets like there are some convoluted plans, but nothing gets as convoluted as what they actually write in the note in the original ones. There's some convoluted like stuff that happens outside when they're planning to kill people, but nothing actually like this is the specific thing that's going to happen in the Death Note. So I thought like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Like if you grab the Death Note, you will die in this way because you fulfilled this condition. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, some of it was also very over the top. Did they really need to have Ryuk standing there laughing maniacally up at the
Well,
Ferris
if we
wheel?
want to talk about the weird conditions and stuff, I just want to say like when what's
yeah.
the detective's name? The
Al?
No, the other one, the Asian guy.
Watari.
Watari. When Watari was killed, I mean, they go through all that trouble of writing that long thing about how he should die. I would have put in there, he gives us the name before he gets killed. Like,
Yeah.
can you do
Actually,
that? I mean,
actually,
you're
that's a
so
good point.
specific.
When you bring in these specific conditions, they open themselves up for a lot of
Yeah.
more like
Loopholes.
loopholes.
Like, you wrote that whole long thing. You were 3 words away from, like, actually getting the name
That's
before
actually
you
a
died.
really good point that I didn't think about here. I'm going to call that a plot hole because they were clearly able to convolutely write other stuff later. So.
Right. I mean, that bothered me the whole time. Like, wow, you wrote all this shit and then you never thought of, like, he should definitely give us the name before he
I
gets
actually
killed.
forgot about that, considering at that point I was fairly cheesed that Watari had even ended up in that situation to begin with for what I talked about before.
I'm wondering. I don't know like the background production specifics, but it almost felt as if they ran out of their budget, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did, just because of how rushed the ending
They
was.
could have been, yeah. Also, one other important thing I should note.
That Ferris wheel scene probably used up 90% of their budget.
Oh yeah, I'd agree. One last thing to note, I guess, is originally that whole plot device where if you burn that page out of the Death Note, it erases. That isn't actually present in the manga or the anime. The only time it's present is in the original plot pitch for the whole series, which the author did like a couple months before she actually wrote out the. They actually wrote out the series, so. That isn't originally in like the plot. They had like a death eraser where if they erased your name, then you would be okay. But that's totally gone in the point. So I didn't mind it though because that again, it's a throwback. If you really know your lore, it's a throwback to the way early days.
Was
of
the Death
series.
Eraser a one-time use only?
Nope, the death eraser could be used all the time. But that's probably why they got
Until
rid of
the
it for the
eraser runs
final
out.
draft.
Yeah.
It's not present at all. Once your name's on there, you're pretty much dead.
All right, that's Death Note.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty decent, I would say.
Watch it if you want to. Don't if you don't.